Hello and welcome to Balls and Brew, the number one sports podcast on the Morganino Podcasting Network. It's like you're sitting around talking with your boys at a bar in your basement, having some beer, enjoying yourselves. And wait a minute, where's Rod at? Chris, what'd you do with Rod?
Oh, you know, Rod, if music and live music at that is at the forefront, he's going to be there. So, of course, he's watching Beck tonight. So, can we really hold him in that
You watch your
much
tongue, sir.
disregard?
He is not watching Beck. He is watching Matchbox 20, baby. They were on first, so they're the number one act, right? Or was it just Rob Thomas? I can't remember.
Either way.
It's better than Beck, no question.
No.
Williams, you agree with me, right? My takes on this podcast are always number one.
No way, man. Beck is over Matchbox 20, in my opinion.
I'm not
She
going to
was just going to mute me the whole time.
Hey, there's two things I know in this world. Football, NFL gambling, and music taste. Those are my two things. No one else can take it from me. You've heard from Josh Williams. He's our resident what would we call yourself? The gambler, if you will, of the group. Chris King is down south right now, and he's down south a lot. A lot of us are down south. And let's talk about this here with Jim's apology tour. So last week, I had to apologize to the entire northern part of Ohio. It was my fault, and I was wrong. This week, this is a tough one. I was so wrong on the Colts and Packers that I said some things to Williams, and Williams, I apologize. You and I have known each other for a better part of a couple decades now, and I need to be better than that to you. It's not funny how wrong I was. It's funny how so wrong I was. So Williams, I apologize.
Hey, that's all right. That was the only game that I got right last week against the spread. I feel like I got a little unlucky on the Houston Bears kind of fiasco there at the end. But yeah, the Packers, I felt good about that. I felt like they were going to have a game plan and just run the ball the whole game against the Colts. And boy, did they ever. Colts have got to do something about that defense, but maybe we'll get to that a little bit later.
Hey, Chris, question for you. I'm going to go on a small rant here about some coaching, and you've been around for all of the coaches, so you know everyone. You've seen them all. If you know a team cannot throw the ball with their quarterback, and they have a good run team, do you think you would maybe play run defense? Like
You put
not even like
eight men
not
in the
even
box. No,
not
you put
even
eight
yeah
men in the box.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
You don't. There's no threat right there, right?
what is he doing?
So why aren't you just stacking the box and making it impossible for them to run the ball?
Every single person in that stadium and at home knew what the Packers were going to do, except for one, Gus Bradley. Shocking. I think that's a fireable offense right there. There is no way you can get away with having all those after time after time after time after time. They just ran the ball.
Let's also be honest here. There was definitely some pass plays that turned into rushing plays. All right. There was a lot of bodily fluid going around on footballs during that game.
Oh.
So a lot of things were going on. So like there were a lot more runs that probably weren't supposed to be runs.
So for those of you who didn't see it, your congratulations. You should not have seen it. The center for Green Bay threw up on the ball right before he shotgunned it to Malik Willis, and his coach said, "Why didn't you throw the ball?" He goes, "Because he threw up on it." Have you seen? That's gross, Williams.
That is. So that's over 90 rushing attempts against this Colts defense in the first 2 weeks. I mean, this defense is so gassed after 2 weeks. They're constantly on the field, and the offense is playing up tempo because they're trying to get as many plays off as possible with Richardson. But man, I had a bad feeling about Richardson's like first true outdoor road game. You know, hopefully he gets going here later on in the season. Hopefully not this week as they're taking on the Bears this week. But Richardson is going to be a roller coaster throughout. I mean, I don't think he's necessarily a problem. That's got to be the Colts defense.
Listen, this is a trend in the NFL. I think we're seeing this year though too, is defenses have improved defending the pass so much that offenses are having to go back to the run because they can get those numbers in the blocking schemes, whether it's two tight end sets or bringing in a fullback or doing whatever you want to do. You can get those mismatches in the run game a whole lot easier. I think that's a bigger trend in the NFL now.
Another trend is the Bears not winning games. DeAndre Swift, how many yards rushing should he have this week in Indy? 300? He's going to get -10 again, isn't he? Williams, you did win that Colts pack game, but last week the other two games weren't very good, as you said. You weren't even close on that Texans Bears game, man. How dare you? You weren't even close. Or Cam Akers fumbled and just said, "Screw you, Williams," and it pretty much went out the door there. Bears still had a chance to win at the end. Yes, I know there's a lot of people saying Caleb Williams is the worst player ever. Let's calm down on that. Let's just give him a little time. It's okay. One thing I do want to say, Williams, that meme of Caleb Williams and Justin Fields wearing the same orange jersey, doing the exact same thing, sitting on the bench with their head up in the air, breathing heavily, was kind of creepy. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, I was dead on arrival with that Rams pick, but I was feeling better about the Texans pick until Cam Akers fumbled on the 3-yard line. But Bears somehow cover again. They're like the flukiest 2-0 against the spread team in a long time here. But yeah, the Bears allowed 36 pressures versus the Texans. That cannot happen. That's unacceptable. And the Colts are actually favored by 1.5 in this game this week against the Bears. 57% of the cash is coming in on the Bears. But like I said, the Colts have a real problem with their DC. I mean, DeForest Buckner's on the IR now, their best defensive lineman. Juju Brents is on the IR now, their best corner. And you've got a DC who doesn't disguise anything and hardly brings any blitzes. But on the other side for the Bears, you have a real problem at OC. I mean, Shane Waldron's not scheming enough looks downfield as us Bears fans would like. And you heard that complaint last year from JSN and DK Metcalf. So that's very concerning for Bears fans. What's also concerning for Bears fans, our offensive line evidently cannot pick up a blitz to save their lives. Is Caleb hanging on to the ball too long? Yes. But I think he's made some really good plays out of absolutely nothing. But he is trying to do too much as of right now, but that should get better over time as hopefully the O-line gets better. So you've got to – I wish these two teams were playing next year, like in November. I feel like they would be a lot better. Like these two teams are coming in kind of banged up, not playing their best right now. So I will tell you that the shoe is going to be rocking. It's sold out. Our seats in the nosebleed section, I could sell right now all three of them and get our season ticket money basically back. So people want to go, and I can't do that because it's not my decision at all. But yeah, it's pretty nuts. I mean, our seats right now are going for like $300 each. It's ridiculous. Chris, I got to get one from you, and then we're going to go to what you got wrong. But Chris, who you got, Bears or Colts? Who's going to win this weekend? Like I have any doubt in my mind who you're picking.
Yeah, Jimmy, I'm a fan. It's going to be the Colts, all right? Because I'll tell you what, the Colts have seen their quarterback perform well in an NFL game, throw touchdowns, score touchdowns in an NFL game. If you're a Bears fan, how long do you wait? Like I feel like as a Colts fan,
how long is the second game?
Well, I mean,
it took Aaron Rodgers a year and 2 weeks to throw his first Jets touchdown pass.
Okay, that's
maybe
that's
maybe
unfair.
I don't know what happened. Who knows? He probably threw one today. Maybe I don't know. No spoilers here, Chris. Let's talk about something you got wrong last week, Chris. And I want to give this to you because you're wearing the hat right now. What'd you get wrong last week, Chris?
Everything, literally everything, I got wrong last week. Cowboys lose big to the Saints because Derek Carr is the second best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Greatest, I believe, is
the Lions lost, the Bengals lost, the Colts lost. I mean, what more? Like my team's lost. I'm sorry. Hoosiers did have a big win last Saturday night in California against UCLA. So at least the Hoosiers won.
Okay. Wait a minute. That's weird music. It's the Rod Nation of the Week. Rod's not here, so someone's got to take it over. Who's going to do Rod Nation of the Week? Williams?
Are we doing coaching right now? Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's go.
About this. We talked about this before. You said you were going to go on a rant about it. I let you have it.
You were breaking
up
a little bit. I was just making sure here. Okay.
All right, go for
it. Chris is going to love this one because I have a feeling that he hates this team. And what in the world is Nick Sirianni doing on Monday night? I mean, is there a bigger tool in the NFL than this guy? I mean, for real, this guy is such a fake tough guy. Every time the camera goes to him, he always looks pissed off. He's yelling at somebody. You pass up a field goal on 4th and 4 from the 9 in the first quarter. I'm sorry. I was not aware we were playing the 99 greatest show on turf Rams. Wait, what are we passing up on guaranteed points against checks notes? The Atlanta Falcons, who scored 10 points in week 1. I mean, it's the 4th blown lead in the last 2 minutes in the last 2 years for Sirianni. That's terrible. The Eagles were 7 for 7 when they needed 3 yards and they ran it on Monday night. But instead, on 3rd and 3 in the 4th quarter, they decide to pass it to Saquon. He has stone hands. He drops it. The Falcons couldn't stop the run all night. The Eagles averaged 5 yards per carry. Their win probability went from 94% and it dropped to 86% after they made the field goal. So you take it from a one-possession game to a one-possession game. Fangio decides to play ultra prevent for a team that wasn't getting any pressure all night. You know, Bryce Huff, where are you? 0 tackles, 0 pressure, 0 sacks. Thanks for playing. I mean, that was a complete ineptitude of coaching from the Philadelphia Eagles. I got to give props to Rod here. Rod said before the season, he said, I don't know about Sirianni. He said, I feel like the Eagles could turn on this guy. I said, no, the Eagles have way too much talent, which I still think they have way too much talent to lose this division. But my God, this is panic mode right now in Philly because they have a tough matchup against a super improved Saints team from last year. And that this dude, and evidently this dude did not say anything to the players after the game. There was 2 players who talked to the players, the other players in the locker room afterwards. Sirianni didn't say a word. Like, what does this guy do? Just like what we said about Zach Taylor last week, the Office Space. Like, what would you say you actually do here, Nick Sirianni? Because this guy is a complete fraud, in my opinion.
All right, Chris, revel in Williams' misery there.
He apparently facilitates the communication between the front office and the player personnel director. Right? I mean, if he's doing anything, we saw the signs, though, didn't we? That there was strife in Philadelphia between the quarterback, the captain of the team, and the head coach. We were told that that shouldn't be an issue, but maybe it really is. Maybe there is a real problem there.
I definitely think there is. That whole division right now is kind of interesting, isn't it? Your boys are in trouble, and the Commanders are doing okay. They're kind of where they need to be. But one thing I want to talk about in the NFC East, or excuse me, the NFC here is Bryce Young. Bryce Young got benched. Is this a failure on the Panthers or a failure on Bryce Young, Williams?
I mean, I think it's a failure on the leadership of the Carolina Panthers. I mean, from the start, David Tepper has not made the right decisions, including like letting his wife hire the GM and the coach. Yeah, I mean, Bryce Young has not played well, but I don't think it's all on Bryce Young's shoulders. It's just been a complete fiasco. They haven't had the leadership in that building, and I don't know if they know how to field a winning team at this point. So I don't know what the Carolina Panthers are going to do.
Chris, are you scared for Andy Dalton?
No, the Red Rifleman will be fine wherever he lands. Listen, this is what it is, all right? We've seen quarterbacks die in Carolina lately. We've seen Sam Darnold. We've seen Baker Mayfield. We've seen them succeed then when they've left there and go to other teams. These are also quarterbacks that we've seen be successful before Carolina and show actual skill sets that are required in the NFL. I'm afraid that even if Bryce Young were to get another chance on another team somewhere, he is missing some of those skills that allow quarterbacks of a smaller stature like Kyler Murray or a Doug Flutie actually do well and perform well in the NFL.
Okay. Yeah. I like that a lot. I think he's going to play again for the Panthers. It's just going to happen this year at some point. But I'm nervous about him and his health moving forward if he does there. Chris said he got everything wrong last week. I got something right. Justin Fields, boom, 2-0. I'm right again. Justin Fields is amazing. Look at these stats, gentlemen. 13 of 20 for 117 yards. That's a whole length of a football field and a little bit more. One touchdown pass, 8 runs for 27 yards. Bring it, Williams.
Do you know, do you want to know a crazy stat?
Nope. Yeah, go ahead.
There's only one quarterback through 2 weeks that has thrown for 250 yards in both games. And can you believe it? It is Rod's guy, Gardner Minshew.
Let's go.
It's got to be 1,000,000 to 1 odds that was the guy to start the season. He would be the only one. That's unbelievable. Gardner Minshew. I just flew past your Justin Fields.
No, it's
stats,
okay. Yeah, we call that is Williams not paying attention at all.
Let's also
That's
be
fine.
real here. All right. I hate
Put
the
one of these up.
Steelers. Okay. And the only reason the Steelers have won these games is not because of Justin Fields at all.
Who's the quarterback? Who's the starting quarterback? Who gets wins and losses on the record?
I think TJ Watt gets you wins and losses in
Really?
Pittsburgh.
Let me look at his football card and see where his wins and losses are, Chris.
I'm going to
You're
tell
in
you
the chat right
Steelers-
now. Talk to me, chat. Who's right? I'm right on this one. Justin Fields is the man. And we lost the 2 people that were watching, which is really funny. Oh, let's go to the wins league before we get kicked off of everything that we do. I think it's a good thing. Williams is number 1 again. Williams has 9 total wins on the season. Chris King, not looking too good, bud. About 6 total wins on the season. Rod and I are tied at 8, so that's good. So Williamson's first, Chris is last. I'm neither, so I think we're okay on that one. We still have some. Yes, go ahead.
You shorted me a win. I got 10 wins total. Come on.
Who's your 10th win? Whatever.
I had 5 last week.
The Ravens didn't win. The Eagles didn't win. The Cardinals are the Cardinals 2-0.
The Cardinals won last week. So I had 5 last week and 5 this week. You had it right last week.
Whatever. You're still winning.
KC, the Raiders,
Yeah.
Bills, Zona, and Minnesota. That's 5.
Okay. Anyway, so
All
Williams,
right.
congratulations with that. And with that, let's go to some picks that you might get to win. I don't know. Let's go for two for 3 this week. Let's go, Williams. Who you got? Who's your first one up?
Yes, I'm going to try to. And I'm going to bring back the luck rankings that Chris absolutely hates. I'm going Broncos plus 6.5, minus 105 at Tampa. Luck rankings here. I'm going to start it right at you, Chris. Luck differential of over 30. When you have a luck differential of 28 or more, you have a record of 53-29 against the spread. That's 65% over the last 2 years. Road teams have an even better against the spread record. Look, the Bucs held the Lions to 1 touchdown and 7 red zone trips last week. I think that has regression written all over it. And statistically speaking, the Bucs were the luckiest team last year, and they aren't missing a beat this year, picking right up where they left off as the luckiest team in the league through the first 2 weeks this season. And when you think about injuries, Vita Vea, the big defensive tackle for Tampa, is out. They've got multiple secondary pieces out. Winfield's out for them in this game. And this will be the easiest D that Bo Nix will have faced so far. Meanwhile, this is the best secondary that Baker has faced so far. Patrick Surtain playing at an elite level. Huge letdown game for the Bucs too, after the huge win up in Detroit, where they were, I'll remind you, outgained by over 200 yards in that game, but still found a way to win. Baker only 37% against the spread as a favorite in his career. You could get a sleepy 1 o'clock spot here for Tampa playing at home. going through the motions versus an 0-2 out of conference team. Give me Broncos plus 6.5. They got to have a game. Sean Payton doesn't go to 0-3.
Chris King, you love that luck differential.
There's no such thing as luck, Jimmy. All right.
Oh,
Luck is nothing but the crossroads of opportunity and preparation. All right. And I think that, a guy that has the second highest QB rating in the league so far, has the third most touchdown passes in the league since joining Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield and in his primetime bowls will be well more prepared than a Bo Nix and a past his prime washed up Sean Payton.
oh, wow. So Sean Payton getting some heavy heat there from Chris. Yeah, Williams, I don't know. Do you see Bo Nix as a long-term starter right now, or are we just 2 weeks in and we need to figure it out more?
I mean, he couldn't have started in two tougher spots, up in Seattle against that secondary, and then playing against the Steelers, who look close to like the 85 Bears all of a sudden. So, yes, Todd Bowles is a concern going up against a rookie quarterback. But like I said, this will honestly be the easiest defense that Knicks has seen so far. So, and like I said, when we previewed the Broncos before the season started, I was surprised that Sean Payton had never had a season worse than 7-10. So you don't want to start out 0-3 here. We have some leeway, even if that happens. 6.5 points, I think, is a lot for the Bucs to cover here.
Let's go on to Miami Dolphins. It's been a season. That's that season from hell team. It really is. Can they do anything in Seattle, Williams?
Yeah, I think this is a rally the troops game. I'm going to take Miami plus 4.5. You can find that minus 110 widely available. Seahawks coming off an OT win all the way on the other side of the country. Teams have not fared well historically off an OT game when they are laying points the following week. Extra rest for Miami here. Remember, because they played on Thursday. Extra prep for Mike McDaniel also. I think the pressure is on him here to galvanize the locker room after the Tua concussion. What's the one thing I always want when backing these teams? I want an extremely focused and dialed-in team. I think that's what you're going to get here from Miami. And don't forget, a couple of years ago, Skylar Thompson was a play or two away from leading the Fins to a huge playoff upset in Buffalo against the Bills. So it's not like this guy has no experience. Also, you have Kenneth Walker out for Seattle. I think that's a huge loss. That their offense becomes less dynamic when he's off the field. Look, I said I like Seattle this year, but now you're asking them to win by margin here after they may feel like they got away with one sneaking out a win in Foxborough last week. So, yeah, give me Miami plus 4.5 on Sunday.
Chris, I don't know how much the Seattle Seahawks are going to miss Walker because he's out all the time anyway. So, do you think that Miami can go into Seattle, that Skylar Thompson can go in there and actually pull this off or get close?
I definitely think they're capable of getting close. Like, listen, we knew Seattle wasn't the cream of the crop in the NFC, right? But they are playing well. You got to admit their defense is playing well. I do have to agree with Williams, though, that 4.5 points is a lot to me. I don't see Seattle winning a lot of games by more than a field goal, right?
Okay. Yeah, I think that could be it. I was just a little worried about how Miami finished that game last week. Hill and Waddle really weren't engaged at all. They took them out. I know that was kind of out of hand, but I just didn't like the feeling of Miami. And I'm a Tyreek Hill fantasy owner, so I'm very nervous about that. And I like Seattle here more than 4.5, which of course means congratulations, Miami. You're going to cover that. Speaking of teams going into a place that they need to win, must-win game in week 3. Dallas Cowboys coming off a shellacking. Baltimore Ravens coming off 2 just heartbreaking losses. Ravens are 0-2. Cowboys are 1-1. Williams, who you got?
Yeah, to Chris's dismay, I'm gonna take Baltimore -1. Lamar has dominated NFC opponents in his career. He is 20-1 against the NFC in his career. And the Ravens just tend to be a more focused team on the road. We see them kind of play with their food at home when they're big favorites, kind of like what they did last week against Minshew and the Raiders. Lamar as a dog or a favorite of less than 3 points is 22-7 against the spread in his career. That's 76%. And the Cowboys can't run the ball. I don't think they're all of a sudden going to break some off against the Ravens defensive line. And when the opponents throw with play action, Dallas is next to last in the league in yards per pass attempt allowed, bottom 5 in EPA allowed. And look, the Saints used 2 tight end sets at a high rate. Who else uses 2 tight end sets at a high rate? The Ravens. Cowboys have used a 2-high scheme at a top 10 rate. Lamar has done much better versus that specific look this year. And on the other side of the ball, the Cowboys are dead last in running back elusive rate. That's something that is not really surprising because you got Zeke and Rico Dowdle. So, listen, we've waited 3 weeks. I'm breaking out some ref stats here. Nobody calls more penalties on the offensive line than Ron Torbert's crew. And I know you guys are going to be shocked by this, but the Cowboys are, again, a top 10 penalized team for offensive holding. This has been an issue for this team for the past few seasons. And conversely, on the other side of the ball, Torbert's crew has called the lowest percentage of penalties of any crew on the defensive lines and linebackers. Why is that significant? Because believe it or not, the Ravens defensive line and linebackers have consistently been an above average penalized group over the past couple of seasons. Home dogs are only 15-29 against the spread since 2016 when Torbert officiates their games. That's only a 35% winning clip. And the boys are only 1-4 against the spread when Torbert officiates their games. They hate this guy. This should be a desperate Ravens team that we're backing here. They know they could easily be 2-0 right now. Instead, they're 0-2. They can't afford to go to 0-3. Give me the Ravens -1 on Sunday.
Well, Chris, it happened. We finally got it. The ref stats.
And it's against Dallas.
Well, and listen, I've been around a little bit longer than you, Williams. So, I'm going to just tell you, since the merger, there's only been one team that's been penalized more than the Cowboys. That's the Raiders. So it doesn't surprise me. I've watched our offensive line be called for all kinds of random crap over the decades. So that does not surprise me at all that we're going to get the short end of the stick on here. And as a fan, I am scared to death of this Ravens team this week. I think if they keep handing the ball off and then running RPOs with Lamar, I think it'll be really bad for Dallas, unfortunately, unless we can get out and score quick and early and keep their defense on their heels. Then I think Dallas has a chance, but we got to strike hard and early.
I'm worried about the Ravens secondary in this game. The Ravens continue to blow big leads, and what the Cowboys can do is they can pass down the field with Dak and CD and get Brandon Cooks with some looks down the field. So that is a concern for me, but I just feel like this is a huge game for the Ravens. They got to have it.
Yeah, a team starting 0-3. I don't know what the percentage is of them going on to the playoffs, but it can't be very high because the 0-2 is really low as well.
None of them have ever won the Super Bowl either. So
okay.
We did not think the Ravens were going to win the Super Bowl this year with the losses they had, but this 0% has won the Super Bowl. So you got to get to the playoffs first. So.
All right, and with that is going to do it for Balls and Brew. Again, we miss Rod. Enjoy your Matchbox 20 and whatever other band was playing. We'll see everyone next week. Williams, hopefully have a bounce back week this week and get at least 2 out of 3, but let's go for 3 out of 3. Why the heck not? And remember, go Bears.
Go Bears.
Goodbye, Internet. Go Cowboys.
Welcome to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the More You Knows podcast network. You're in the ring with Jimmy, Chris, and Williams is still here. He's going to leave because he doesn't know anything about wrestling. We're going to have a quick episode this week. Rod is not here. Rod is watching Matchbox 20, and Beck, I believe, is the other, some unknown band there. Chris, I want to talk about Raw because Raw was fun. Raw was a lot of fun. I don't even know where to start. Chris, give me an old man take.
We need justice for Ricky. Okay? I'm sorry, but we need justice for Ricky. All right? He was getting the pop. He was getting the crowd was behind it, and he just gets tossed to the side. I want to see more of Ricky.
Okay, that's not where I was going with that.
Oh, I
Yes,
know,
Ricky,
I know, but I'm an old man.
Ricky is great. Ricky is fine. Ricky brought back a lot. Ricky is someone who you see yourself in, isn't it?
Oh yeah, he's the everyman. He's living the dream that so many of us have or had.
Speaking of dreams, my dream is to see two big men go after each other.
Yeah,
And boy, did we get that.
It was a
boy,
that
did
was
we get
great.
that.
It was great, wasn't it? You
It
destroyed
was.
everything.
Usually going into the crowd does not work. Usually going in and doing backstage stuff doesn't really work. But how they went about doing it worked so well between Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed that I was in all the way, all in for it. It was something different, something we don't see all the time. Even when they try to do things like that, it's not even what it was. The athleticism of Reed really stood out to me, though, because he hit some really cool moves.
Yeah, it's great. And listen, they've had some great issues with each other lately. Like whether it's been in the parking lot doing sumo splashes on the cars, doing everything else they did on Monday. Like it has been fantastic for me because these are really the behemoths of WWE right now, right?
Yeah, you're right.
You know, I think once Braun gets past Jey Uso, I think those three end up in like a triple threat type match by next WrestleMania, maybe.
Braun needs to work on his timing a little bit because Jey Uso was standing outside that ring while his boy was getting beaten up a little too long later in the show there. But yeah, I just thought that was great all over the place. Something else I really enjoyed is the Damian Priest Dominic Mysterio match. Damian Priest punches so well. He sells that punch. Mysterio sells that punch. It really looked like he punched him in the face every time he swung, and I loved it, Chris.
Oh, it's great, right? I don't know how this happens to me, Jim. All right.
Okay.
But every week I do get more and more impressed with Dom's skills all around.
Yeah.
And I remember how he was when I first came back to watch, Jimmy. All right. He was still with Ray. He was still in that colorful onesie that looked out of place and unsure of things and did not look good in the ring. And
Sure.
he is one of the best sellers now. He is doing phenomenally well. And the crowd continuously, with me included, loves to hate him so much.
He's doing well. The storyline is terrific. I kind of want to see this as the second Hell in a Cell and not have a women's Hell in a Cell. I would like a bloodline, on the other show. And then this match here, I think that would be cool to try to get a 4-on-4, maybe have the women involved as well and just go at it. I think that'd be great.
We're probably still going to see that at some point, though, right?
Oh, we're going to see. We're going to see. Oh, yeah, we're definitely going to see that. Chris, I want to get your opinion on the women's match, and not the Natalya Zoe Stark match. Okay. Io Sky and our girl Bianca Belair. What did you think of that matchup? Uh-oh.
I guess, I don't know. Why have the EST lose this match, Jimmy? Like, help explain this to me.
Who are the tag team champions?
Okay. Yes.
So if you want a contender to emerge, there's a few different ways you can do it, and one of them is have a singles match and have the champion get pinned. And it's like, hey, you saw that she can be beaten now. Let's have a tag team championship match. That's the reason. That's one of the few different ways you can do it.
So then we're going to see another singles with Jade Cargill, right? That's going to happen next.
I think so. We might see that, and I would be interested to see if Io Sky could carry Jade Cargill to a good 4 to 6 minute match, 5 to 7 minute match, somewhere in there. But I think we could see that for sure. And if they get another pin there, then they're definitely going to get the championship spot there for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So
you're the expert, Jim.
yeah, I'm here. That's what I do. Let's talk about your boy CM Punk. You love CM Punk more than anybody in the world. He came out. He was a little bitter Phil today. What do you think about Punk and McIntyre going one more? They're going to keep going.
I mean, let me tell you, like my guy gets fined for brushing up or pointing at a referee and raising his voice a little bit, but all of a sudden Punk can just go out and like promise to murder somebody and nothing gets done. I think it's a little bit crazy. I think you can see whose side and what Adam Pearce is trying to make happen. Like the writing's on the wall, Jim. Like everybody is against my boy Drew, but in the Hell in the Cell, I don't think there's any way for CM Punk to be able to pull anything off or get away with anything, and Drew will take care of business. It'll be what it is.
Okay, I hope you're completely wrong there, just because I think it'd be funny, for sure. I thought overall Raw was very solid. Chris, give me your impression of the New Day breaking up most likely here soon.
So they've been hitting at this for a while. I don't know. I like to see where it goes, and if they bring that one guy back, if he's going to end up.
Nope, fired, gone.
Oh.
He's did bad things. Yep, gone.
Oh, okay. Well then,
Yep,
too
gone.
bad for him.
Yep.
Then I'm really confused. I definitely think they're
that they just wrote him off and we'll never speak of him again, unless it's big. You're not talking about Big E, are you?
No.
Okay,
Big E, I still know does.
Yeah, he does
the premium live event stuff and everything else. So like,
Yep.
No, I'm not referring to Big E. Although I'd like to see Big E wrestle, I was not lucky enough to see that happen.
Yeah.
I don't. So what do you do? Like, I'm only really invested them as a tag team. If they split up, I don't know. That may be too much for me to worry about. I mean, they get lost in the shuffle by each other.
Well,
right?
Kofi Kingston's been a world champion, so he was a world champion before. Xavier Woods that's the tough one, because I actually love Xavier Woods. I think he's great at everything he does, but I don't see them pushing him to the level that he needs to be, especially if he's a heel there. But again, he's right on a lot of these things, and Kofi's wrong, but Kofi's still being portrayed as the babyface.
You got to communicate with your partner, Jimmy. All right. We talk about this in relationships, work relationships, personal relationships. Everything is communication. You got to communicate with your tag team partner. Why is the LWO getting involved and knows the plan before your tag team partner does, Jim?
That's true. And let's quickly hit SmackDown here. Cody Rhodes defeated Solo Sikoa in a steel cage match to retain the title on the first SmackDown ever on the USA Network. Did you like the new logo, and how was the match?
Did not pay attention to the logo, so couldn't tell you. The match was much, much better than I anticipated, Jim. I really enjoyed it.
Good.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Give me high-flying, dangerous, stupid things, and I'll probably enjoy it.
I think that I think it's just something different on TV that we haven't seen in a while, and that really goes a long way to kind of heighten everything. It's weird that Solo is the tribal chief, but yet no one wants to really see Solo. They want to see Jacob. And that's going to play into a lot of things too, I think, coming up soon. Let's hit to the end of that as well. We did get a contract signing. We are going to have Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes teaming up together. I thought it was an okay moment. I thought they wanted to be a little bit more epic than what it was. I think the camera angle had a lot to do with that for whatever reason. I just didn't like that camera angle. I didn't see why they did that. But we are going to have that tag team match at
we needed more build-up for this, right?
A little. I mean, we've had a year. We've had 2 years, though. You know.
No, I'm just talking about since Roman has shown his face back. You know.
Yeah.
Like Like, let's see some animosity still between them. Let them take some bumps off each other a little bit more, and then really be surprised when they do decide to then team up against the Bloodline. Like, that would have made more of a surprise to me if I had seen that more animosity with them instead of them both having separate issues with the Bloodline, because then you kind of saw it coming together.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could have done it for another week or so, but they got the Bad to Blood coming up, so we need to make sure we get that taken care of before then, because Survivor Series would be the War Games that's going to come up. So we have to look at that. Nice to see some old faces on SmackDown. We had RVD, Booker T, Michael Hayes, Bobby Roode was even there. You weren't around for the Bobby Roode glorious days, were you, Chris?
No, I can't say I remember that.
So Bobby Roode been a wrestler for a very, very long time in TNA wrestling, and finally got up to NXT. And he had this outrageously just strange song that's glorious. Da 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 da. That's how I sing, because Matchbox 20 fan. But everyone loved it, and he got over very, very much on NXT. But this was the Vince McMahon days. So when he came up to the main roster, great first debut, and then didn't do anything with him. They made him U.S. champ, but not really, and a lot of weird things happen. So that's your Bobby Roode. If you have time and all your spare time, Chris, what do you got to do, right? Oh, you work very hard for a living and you're tired. Yeah. Anyway, go on YouTube and YouTube Bobby Roode Glorious, and you'll see how that turned out. Before we leave, anything else we want to hit on the Yeah We Know podcast?
LA Knight versus Andrade.
We do need to talk about that. Thank you very much. Look at you. I wrote it down last week. I was going to remember it this week to not talk about LA Knight and get you angry. So I'm very excited about that. Yeah, LA Knight. Yeah. Andrade. I think that's going to be a solid matchup. LA Knight's going to win. But Carmelo and Andrade they've had some good matches.
Yeah, no, that's a good rivalry. Like, I have enjoyed every time they're together in the ring. But I'll be honest too. I've enjoyed every time Andrade's been in the ring. I can't deny that guy's talent. Hopefully more better things will come to him in the future. It's just not going to be coming up against our boy LA Knight, the Mega.
Yeah. And with that, Rod, we miss you. We can't wait to have you back. I'm sure we missed a couple of things that you would have definitely gone off on the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the More You Knows podcast network. You're in the ring with Jimmy and, well, Chris.
Goodbye, Net.